At the beginning of the film, we see Norma and her family who had kept a box outside their house in the morning. While leaving, she saw that it was a man in a black car, whom she didn't know. In the suspense, these people open the box and another red-colored button box comes out of it. Along with it, there is a letter in which it is written that Mr. Stewart will come to meet them at 5 in the evening. Till then, they put the box aside and start doing their routine work. Norma was a teacher in a school. Today, she was called to the principal's office where the principal told her that she will have to reduce Norma's salary because there was a crisis going on in her school. While saying this, we saw that the principal's nose was bleeding, but Norma didn't notice this, but she was in her own trouble. She came back to her house where Mr. Stewart came to meet her in the evening. Her half-face was burning in a strange way. She gave her introduction that I am Mr. Stewart and in the morning, I had left that box outside your house. Norma immediately invited him to her house. Mr. Stewart sat down and told Norma that this is not an ordinary box. If you press this button, you will get $1 million, but instead of this, a person's life will be lost about whom you don't even know. They give Norma $100 and the keys of the box. They say that you have time till evening. If you don't press this, I will take this box from you. Saying this, she left from there. Here, we were shown Norma's husband who used to work in NASA. He had given an application to go to space, but he got a bad news that he can't go to space, although he had passed all the tests, but he had failed in the psychological test. Saddened, he comes home. Norma had taken a new news for him. Norma boxed him and told him the whole story of Mr. Stewart and said that if we press this red button, we will get $1 million, but instead of this, someone's life will be lost. Norma was thinking whether to press this or not, but Norma didn't think that her words will be true. That's why she ignored Mr. Stewart's words and pressed that button. At 5 p.m., Mr. Stewart came to her house and gave her a briefcase worth $1 million. Seeing this, Norma's husband was shocked. He didn't want this money. He immediately closed the briefcase and went behind her to give it to Mr. Stewart, but he had already left with his car. Before leaving, Mr. Stewart noted the number of his car. After the scene got cut, we are shown on the other side that an unknown lady had died. When the police were investigating the house, they found this woman's daughter in the washroom. She was very scared. To investigate this case, Norma's dad went there. Norma's dad came to know that the one who killed her was not anyone else but her own husband. We are shown the scene of the morning in the flashback. When this woman called her husband to her house, that man scared her and asked her to close all the windows of her house. After this, she got to know that the woman had died and her husband was involved in it. Anyway, the story again shifts to Norma. Norma came to her dad's house for a party. Out of the gifts kept in the party, Norma's husband sees the same box that was kept in her house. He opened the box and saw a picture of Mr. Stewart in it. In this party, a Norma's student was working. Norma's husband notices that the child is staring at him and pointing at him. Norma's husband goes to Norma's dad and gives him the number of Mr. Stewart's car and requests him to find out about this car. Norma's dad agreed to do this work, but despite this, Norma and her husband were having a very strange time in this party. They also felt dizzy. They also noticed that when Norma used to talk to them, her nose used to bleed. They decided to go home. Outside, their car had written no exit. This scared them even more. Anyway, they went back to their house. When they reached home, they saw that the nanny who had kept for her son, had also gone to sleep. Norma tells her husband to drop her at her house. She asks Norma's husband, "Why are you looking so worried?" Norma's husband tried to avoid her. We also noticed that when this girl was also talking to Norma's husband, her head started spinning and her nose started bleeding. She also fainted in a second. When Norma's husband checked her ID, there was another name written on it. This means that this girl has hidden her ID and has definitely sent this girl to them under some conspiracy. When she came to her senses, Norma's husband said, "Now only one person can save you, who you will see in the mirror." Norma's husband came home and told Norma that the girl was living with us with the wrong ID and was talking weird things. Her head was spinning. She quickly went to her storeroom and saw a picture where she saw Stuart. Actually, she was already suspecting that she had seen Stuart somewhere. She was surprised to see Stuart in her office's old album. She was wondering what Stuart had to do with all this and why Stuart was trapping her in this. She went to Norma's dad to get help so that she can find Stuart as soon as possible. But here she found out that the car that gave her the box was not registered under Stuart's name but under the government's name. Here Norma's husband sees pictures of another girl who was murdered by her husband at 4:45 p.m. She was shocked to hear this because Norma had pressed the red button at 4:45 p.m. Did she die because of Norma's button? How was this possible? Here we see Norma who had come to the mall with her mom to shop. A girl came to her and told Norma that she does not have to worry, all these people who are being tested are a couple and have a child. She told Norma to go to a library and gave her a small paper with some numbers on it. On the other hand, Norma's husband had also reached the murder spot with Norma's father. There were a lot of things there and Norma's husband can see a picture of Stuart. When he picked up the picture there was a number written under it. He recognized it as the library's bookshelf number. So he also came to the library and it was shown here that Norma had also come to the library. The bookshelf and book number which was written under the picture. Norma's husband saw a newspaper which had a report of the day when these people landed on Mars. All the scientists were very excited. Stuart also went to Mars with them and when he was taking the picture he had a very bad lightning strike which burned his mouth. Here Norma also reaches a recording on the other side of the library. When she plays this video recorded is also from the time when Stuart and his entire group were preparing to go to Mars. In this video, Stuart's face was looking fine. Norma was watching this video and suddenly she felt like going up. When she went up, Mr. Stuart was standing in front of her and when he held her hand, she fainted. Here Norma's husband who was about to leave with the book and newspaper. All the people sitting there started staring at him. That's when Stuart's wife came in front of him. She asked him, "What do you want from me?" He said that Stuart has controlled us all. Norma's husband said, "I don't know, I just want to get out of here." After hearing this, Stuart's wife takes him to a strange room and 3 water portals open in front of him. She tells him that there are 3 ways if you want to get out of here, choose one of them. There could have been something else in these water portals. He remembers that in Norma's dad's party, a boy was pointing at him and telling him 2 numbers. Remembering that hint, he chooses the second passage and as soon as he touches the water pulls him inside. On the other hand, Norma faints on the bed. As soon as she regains consciousness, she sees the same water portal. As soon as she touches the water portal, she sees a lot of water and her husband falls on the bed with her. The scene is cut. Now we are shown 2 new characters. These 2 were NASA's authority people and they were talking about Stuart. And here we find a big twist. When the electricity fell on Stuart's face, at that time, Stuart was dead. He was declared dead and put in the morgue, but then, with his laughter, the nurse opened his cabin and found that Stuart was alive. Apart from his mouth, all the other wounds on his body were healed, and since then, he is alive. Now, one of these people goes to Stuart, and we also find out that Stuart is managing a lot of government institutes. Here, Stuart had a lot of money and it was on a box that anyone could die by pressing. That man asked Stuart, "Why are you doing this?" Stuart said, "I am just testing people. As soon as anyone presses this button, I will end this game, but all these people are greedy. All these people fail in my test and press this button, and that's why I kill them." The scene is cut. We are shown Norma and her family who had come to someone's wedding party. Here, Norma's husband suddenly falls ill and leaves the party. Norma's daughter saw her dad going out. She followed her dad and Norma followed her son. We see that Norma's son was kidnapped and Norma was very scared. On the other hand, the man who had killed his wife at the beginning of the movie was now pointing a gun at Norma's husband and at the gunpoint, he puts him in his car. Here, this man tells Norma's husband the truth about Stuart. He was playing a very deep game where he used to test people. Being greedy, people used to press the button given by him, and whatever button he pressed, Stuart used to kill him through his family member. Like he killed my wife through me. I didn't want to do this, but he kidnapped my daughter and killing my wife became my compulsion. Since that day, he has been controlling me and whenever he controls me, blood comes out of my nose. He knows how to control people very well, and this superpower may be because of the accident that happened with him on Mars. Norma's husband asks him where he took his son. He told him that he must have taken his son to a hotel where there is a special pool that works like a portal and from there, he takes people to another place. They were going towards the hotel but then someone came in the form of a truck and hit them. Maybe this was also Stuart's plan. We can see that the man who kidnapped Norma's husband died on the same spot, but now, Norma's husband was brought to NASA's headquarters by the military. Here, he meets his wife and they are easily dropped back to their home in the same black car from which people used to leave here. They were very confused. They couldn't understand what was happening to them. That's when Stuart came to them. Norma asked him where his son was. Stuart said, "I'll tell you. Sit with me. Actually, I was very hopeful that you wouldn't press the button and the test would end there, but you also pressed the button. Right now, your son is in the washroom. He can't hear or see at this time." He turns to Norma's husband and says, "If you want your son to be back to normal, then kill your wife. If you don't want to do this, then live with the $1 million I gave you." In anger, Norma's husband throws a gun at Stuart, but Stuart says, "Even if you kill me, your son won't get better. The only way to make your son better is to kill your wife." Norma was completely broken. Her greed had caused her a lot of loss. She couldn't see her son like this for the rest of her life. That's why she asked her husband to kill her. Norma's husband kills Norma out of helplessness. At the same time, an unknown couple was pressing the red button. Whenever someone pressed the red button, someone died on the other side. How Stuart interlinked all these things is not told in the movie, but it is shown here that as soon as Norma died, her husband was arrested by the police, and Norma's son was completely fine like before. And in the post-credit scene of the movie, it is shown that Stuart never stopped playing that game. He kept the same box outside another family's house, and the movie ended while showing this, generated with https://com.ai.